Hi everyone, welcome to Pasigo Design Watercolor Studio. In this video, I will show you how I approach a watercolor painting using the negative painting technique. If you're interested in knowing more, stay tuned. And if you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button to see more videos as I release them. Thank you for watching. Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be painting with watercolor, and we're going to be creating an effect that we call negative painting. And we're going to be doing this with blobs. And what does that mean really? Basically, watercolor painting is an application of one layer over top of another, over top of another. It's not the same as acrylic and oils. So the thing is with watercolor is that your first application of color tends to be your brightest and your nicest looking effect in watercolor. The blending of colors together on paper and just the spontaneity of it all is what makes watercolor beautiful. So in order to take away a lot of the worrying about how I should do this, how I should do that, and complicated shapes, we're going to start with something very simple, basic shapes, florals, and we're just going to start with a big blob on our watercolor paper. So what I have here is a piece of, I think this one is Saunders Waterford, and I taped it down so that I can have a nice flat surface. It's not wet. I didn't wet the back or the front. We can do this by wetting the back as well, and that works really well. But for this one, I'm just going to start dry, and I'll give you an example of what I did as samples for what I might want to do on my large one. I kind of like this one. I like the yellows and reds mingling together to give those oranges. And of course, there's a little bit of extra here to darken that orange. So 3 colors. That little bit of browny color is done by getting some of that blue in there, but basically this whole painting is done with yellow and red. The colors that I have here are Hansa Yellow Light, and this one is a Quinn Red, and they're both by Daniel Smith. So let's get started. All right, so basically right now I've got a canvas that has nothing on it, no drawing, nothing. Basically all I want to do is create an effect of a watercolor background basically over everything. Now I can leave some gaps here and there. I can create a pattern of some sort in the sense that I'm going in the same direction or going in different ways on my paper. But at the end of the day, all I want is for it to stand out as a nice big blob of mixed color on my paper. And in order to do that, I have a couple of brushes here. I've got this one that is a nice square brush. I can use that to push things around really nice and easily. I also have this one here that I like to use a lot. There's a larger one. These are from Marko Soloviev, great brushes. Whatever you have as a big brush, you might even have something like this. I don't use these very often. They hold a lot of paint and water, and I don't feel like I need that much for this small painting. But at the end of the day, even your calligraphy brushes are going to be nice because you can get a lot of water and paint in them. So let's get started. I'm going to start with this one, and I'll be working from the top and working my way down into the corners. So starting here, I've mixed the yellow with just water, and I don't have any other colors in here. They're not going to be mixed together before I start, but you'll see that they all blend on the paper. And if I feel like I want something a bit more orangey without the blending happening here, I want to have some orange on my brush, then maybe I will mix them both, but we'll take it from there if we need it. Let's get started. This is my yellow, very watery. Because I don't have any water on my board, I need my mix here to have enough water that it will move. So let's start here. And I'm just going to work my way down a bit. Now you'll see that this red is a lot brighter than the yellow. So it's harder to get that orange unless you make sure that you have enough pigment for it to become an orange. So I'm mixing some more color here, and I'm still working my way down. Let's just get some water on here, more yellows and more reds. Okay, big blob. This is a blob. And maybe some more reds at the bottom. Let's just try these. This has a lot of pigment on it. I'm not going to use that because it has too much pigment. But let's say I wanted to create a couple of little special effects on the edges. Sure, we can do that. And they're just going to stay there when we're done with this. And it starts to dry, we're going to have hard edges here. And whether you want hard edges here or not, that's your choice, but it's where you're going to be making that decision. Now I can see a pooling of the water over here, and because the painting is still very wet, I can make that go down. There we go. And at this point, you know, everybody always says, oh, stay away from blooms. Well, blooms in here, doesn't matter. It'll look good, or you can cover them up. You either keep them or you remove them, but that'll be later. Not right now. Right now, all I want is a pure, soft layer of color that blends really nicely. And while it's wet, it can still move into other areas, but once it starts to dry, we just leave it alone. And you'll see already here how this yellow is way different from this yellow. This blue, reddish, orangey color is way different from this color, and it's all from using the same paints. But it's the blending that occurred on the paper. So I'm going to let that dry. And I'm not going to add anything more. I just want it to be nice and dry before I move on to the next step. Now I see here how one thing maybe I could do. Let's just attach this to something because I see how, yeah, I got a little bit on the edge here. Let's just bring that over. Okay. Great. And then we'll figure it out from there. All right, I'll see you for the next part.